You're dressed up, ready to celebrate your sister's big day, only to discover they've seated you next to the coat rack. Not at a side table. Not in the back row. Literally in the hallway. This is Sarah's story, and trust me, what happens next will leave you speechless. Sarah thought she was just going to another family event. She'd play her usual role, the reliable older sister who smiles for photos and keeps the peace. The venue was stunning, one of those lakeside resorts with crystal chandeliers and Instagram-worthy gardens. She'd even splurged on a burgundy dress that made her feel confident. But the moment she walked up to check in, everything went sideways. Sarah Mitchell, she told the receptionist, expecting to be directed to her table. Instead, the woman's smile completely disappeared. After frantically searching the guest list, she looked up with this awkward expression and said, "Oh yes, you're in the hallway section." The hallway section. Let that sink in. Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing. She glanced at the seating chart and saw her parents at the head table, her sister's college friends scattered throughout the main dining room under those gorgeous chandeliers. Meanwhile, she was assigned to sit next to where people hang their coats. This wasn't some mix-up. This was intentional. When Sarah found her mother fixing her sister Katie's veil, she tried to address it calmly. "Mom, I think there's been some confusion with the seating." But her mother barely looked at her. "Not now, Sarah. Can't you see we're busy?" When Sarah finally got her attention and explained the situation, her mother just shrugged. "We had to prioritize the people closest to Katie. You understand." "Wait, what?" "Sarah is Katie's sister. Her only sister. How much closer can you get?" Then Katie chimed in with this sugar-sweet voice, "It's probably just a mistake. Don't make such a big deal about it." But her eyes told a completely different story. There was satisfaction there, like she was enjoying watching Sarah squirm. Sarah's father appeared and delivered the final blow. "It's just a seat, sweetheart. Don't make it a thing. Just a seat." As if being banished from your own sister's wedding reception was no big deal. But here's where the story takes an incredible turn. Sarah didn't storm out. She didn't cause a scene. She simply walked to her assigned spot in the hallway and sat down, trying to process what had just happened. And that's when the groom found her. David, Katie's new husband, approached with a champagne glass in hand and a troubled expression. "Seeing you sitting here alone doesn't seem right," he said. Then he asked Sarah something that changed everything. "Has Katie ever said anything about me that seemed off?" Sarah was caught off guard. This was Katie's wedding day. Why was the groom asking such strange questions? David pulled out his phone and showed Sarah a series of text messages. His face went pale as he scrolled through them. "She told her best friend she was training me to be the perfect husband. Said I was too predictable, and as long as she stayed sweet around my family, everything would eventually be hers." The messages got worse. Katie had been planning their divorce before they even got married. She'd consulted lawyers, strategized about how to manipulate David into dependency, and made cruel comments about his mother being just a rich old woman who writes checks. But wait, it gets even more shocking. David's mother, Catherine, appeared in the hallway holding her own phone. Turns out, Katie's stylist had accidentally sent these text messages to the wrong email address, and Catherine had seen everything. The messages revealed Katie's true nature in horrifying detail. Katie had called David too easy to manipulate and bragged about how she could pretend to be fragile and get anything she wanted. She'd even joked about making him completely dependent on her within 6 months of marriage. David was devastated. This was his wedding day, and he was discovering that the woman he'd just married had been playing him from the beginning. Catherine handed David an envelope. Petition to annul the marriage, she said calmly. Already signed and ready to file. Now picture this scene, they're calling Katie and Sarah's parents into a private conference room. Katie walks in expecting to handle some minor wedding drama, but instead finds her new husband holding annulment papers. The room went dead silent when David placed that envelope on the table. Katie tried to laugh it off. You're joking, right? But there was panic in her voice now. Catherine spoke up, we read every message, Katie. Every cruel word about David, about me, about this family. Katie's facade finally cracked. She screamed about how the messages were just jokes between friends, but the evidence was overwhelming. She'd even filed for divorce consultation a month before the wedding. Then Sarah's father did something that shocked everyone, including Sarah herself. He looked directly at her and said, I'm sorry. I should have seen what was really happening years ago. Sarah had never heard her father apologize to her before. Ever. But Katie wasn't done. She turned on Sarah with pure venom, this is all your fault. You've always been jealous, always trying to steal everything from me. And that's when Sarah finally found her voice. I don't need to steal anything from you, Katie. The truth speaks for itself. The confrontation spilled out into the main reception hall, where 200 wedding guests were still dancing and celebrating. Katie stood in the middle of the dance floor in her $5,000 wedding dress, screaming about how everyone was conspiring against her. David held up the annulment papers for everyone to see. This marriage is over before it started. Katie's perfect wedding, the one she'd planned down to every detail to showcase her fairy tale life, became the stage for her complete downfall. The guests watched in stunned silence as the bride they'd come to celebrate revealed herself to be someone completely different from who they thought they knew. Catherine took her son's arm, and they walked out together, leaving Katie standing alone under those beautiful chandeliers, surrounded by the ruins of her carefully constructed image. A week later, Sarah was back in her Boston apartment when her phone started buzzing with calls from her mother. 9 calls in 3 days. Sarah didn't answer any of them. Her mother finally sent a text, I know you're angry. I can't change the past, but I want to see you. Have dinner with me. The old Sarah would have said yes immediately. She would have put on a nice dress, shown up early, and tried to keep the conversation light. She would have hoped to finally hear her mother say, I'm proud of you. But that version of Sarah was gone. Sarah put the phone down without responding. She didn't need their apology anymore. She needed freedom. That evening, she took a long walk and found herself looking at an old family photo. There was Katie in the center wearing a bright red dress, their mother's hand resting proudly on Katie's shoulder. And there was Sarah, half hidden behind the Christmas tree, barely visible in her own family photo. She folded the picture and put it away. She didn't need to force herself into a frame she was never meant to fit in. When her father finally called, his voice was different. Rougher, more honest than she'd ever heard it. I'm not good with words, he said, but I want you to know I was wrong. Whether you forgive us or not, I just want you to know I see how alone you've been. Sarah closed her eyes and felt something she hadn't experienced in years, peace. Thank you, Dad, she said softly, but I don't need an apology anymore. I just need to be free. The next morning, Sarah booked a trip to Maine, something she'd always wanted to do but never allowed herself because of family obligations. This time, she chose herself. She didn't need their forgiveness. She didn't need their validation. Most importantly, she didn't need their love to feel worthy, because she finally understood that her worth doesn't come from someone else's approval. Family might be where we come from, but it's not always where we belong. Real family consists of people who respect you, listen to you, and don't make you fight just to be seen. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't to fight for your place at the table. Sometimes it's to walk away and build your own table. Sarah's story reminds us that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's courageous. Growth doesn't always come from being accepted by others, it comes the moment you stop needing their acceptance to feel complete. What do you think about Sarah's decision? Would you have handled things differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if stories like this resonate with you, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more real-life family drama that'll make you think twice about your own relationships.